What's up, everybody? Peacemaker is finally back after James Gunn wrapped up the Guardians trilogy back at Marvel and then introduced the Creature Commandos and Superman in that gang into his new DC universe. Let's dive into the first episode of Season 2. James Gunn kicks the season off with something that I do think is a first for any show that I've personally watched: completely new scenes added into a recap for a prior season. Now, there is only one, and basically everything was carried over here because season 1, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's, James Gunn's included, wasn't all that connected to the old universe anyway. But the one change was Gunn replacing the Justice League cameo that we get at the end of the show after they get rid of the cow and defeat the butterflies, and that Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller interaction there with Aquaman and Flash with the Justice Gang from Superman, and a quick Guy Gardner Hawkgirl bit. You also have the Super Cousins, Superman and Supergirl, present for this scene, and it takes place before the Superman movie, which I will say, and this isn't a scoop or anything like that, I haven't seen Gunn's script, but I do think this is very likely to be the team that we see in that next movie: Superman, Supergirl, Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl, and maybe Metamorpho too. He did technically join the Justice Gang at the end of Superman, fighting Brainiac. Count me in. Shifting to the episode itself, though, we start in the winter, and this sequence right here, along with the season 1 recap and everything from that season that's canon, of course, takes place before the Superman movie, like I just said, and then after this, we catch up with it. But here, Peacemaker takes Eagly into the quantum closet, and that's where he discovers this alternate Earth for the first time, the one where his family are alive and heroes. Then I gotta say, and this doesn't necessarily matter much at the end of the day, but still, before we move on, the new song and dance for the intro of Season 2 is a pretty major downgrade from Season 1. They were never gonna top that, and Gunn knew that. He's admitted that before in interviews, and this, it just, I don't know, I guess I didn't know what to expect, and it just feels like they didn't even try topping it, and they just did this because they felt like they had to after doing a dance number for Season 1. But like I said, non-factor at the end of the day, and it's still more entertaining than any other modern TV intro, even that the Alien Earth one that I've been real high on recently. Anyway, we jump another 6 months after that opening scene, and like I said, we're caught up with Superman at this point, and that is actually confirmed by Rick Flag Sr. a bit later in this episode, not during this scene, but he references Lex's pocket dimension. But Peacemaker's trying to join the Justice Gang, and the meeting is at Crank Toys, which is a nod to the 2004 Batman animated series where the villain Toymaker debuted, going by the name of Cosmo Crank. As Peacemaker goes into the meeting, we get a cameo from the camel-toed Queen of Gotham, White Bunny. Maxwell Lord, he couldn't stop talking about it, and the Justice Gang just obliterated Peacemaker too, thinking their mic was muted while he sat there in his feels. I mean, this was a unique appearance for the team, but it was a damn funny one too. Going back to being in your feels, though, Hardcore's having the worst luck of the 11th Street kids. She can't get a job at any of the government alphabet agencies after Adebayo outed Task Force X while she was in charge of the team at the end of Season 1 after Myrn died. That's the work of Amanda Waller for you, and this is why we need, in my opinion, absolutely need that Waller show, because the trial of Amanda Waller has unlimited potential, and of course, to me, it means more from Viola Davis. But then, and you knew this was coming at some point in this episode, James Gunn goes full James Gunn, and Peacemaker's hosting an orgy to make himself feel better. Crazy move, but it ends up being, good cover for Economos when Rick Flag Sr. checks in and needs to report back as he's back from his warden duties at Bel Rev. We also met Sasha Bordeaux here, an Argus agent with ties to the Cape Crusader in the comics. Both Gunn and Sol Rodriguez, the actress portraying Bordeaux, have teased that we will see some of that, or at the very least, that history between Bordeaux and Batman is there in the DCU. Ties to Batman is an understatement too. She figures out Bruce's bats when she's Bruce's bodyguard, and even gets trained by Batman before joining Checkmate. She's the real deal. But Argus isn't having the best of times in the DCU as metas are breaking out of Bel Rev and Arkham. Flag Sr., who's relatively new as the head of Argus, is stressing so hard he dyed his hair back to black with these breakouts, his injury following his run-in with Clayface and Creature Commandos, and then I'd imagine he's been thinking about his dead son quite a bit in recovery with not much else to do other than sit there and recover. With that, Peacemaker is moved to priority 1. He's playing right into Argus's hands too as he goes back into his quantum unfolding chamber, the quantum closet as I'm probably going to call it quite a bit during my breakdowns for the season, and back to the other Earth. He enters into some sort of, trophy room. It kind of reminded me actually of the library with the bat phone and the bat poles and the Alfred head switch from the Adam West Batman show, where there's 3 things of significance to me. 1. The Smith family defeated Rainbow Creature on this Earth, and yes, that's a real character. It's so very James Gunn to adapt something like that, but he's a metahuman from South America and a villain of the Cape Crusader from the old days of DC Comics. 2. The Ultra Humanite, another villain from the comics, exists, and we've already seen Gorilla Grodd 2 in Creature Commandos, so as a fan of the Justice League animated series from when I was younger, we got the 2 big boys in the DCU. Then finally, the Smith family are in fact heroes on this Earth, and yes, it could hypothetically still be an Earth 3 crime syndicate situation where they're heroes, but not really, like I had speculated before the season, but it does seem to me after one episode that they are genuinely good here. Chris sees his brother Keith for the first time as an adult, portrayed by David Deadman, and just starts short-circuiting from there as his pops come back into the picture too. His brother's alive, and his dad, he's alive and a decent guy. It's terrifyingly perfect for Peacemaker. But then we gotta get ready for the battle for peace as that Earth's Peacemaker returns home from Bloodhaven, home of Nightwing, and where Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman currently is. I don't care what anybody says on that one either. Pattinson is in the DCU until he isn't in my mind. It's not a problem. Gotham, Matt Reeves' beautiful Gotham, and James Gunn's Metropolis are perfect because they should be polar opposites, and he's a Lucius Fox away from being just fantastical enough and comic booky enough to be fighting people like Killer Croc and Bane and some of his bigger Rogues Gallery members. Anyway, we go back to the main Earth and see how Harcourt expunges her demons getting into bar fights. This was low-key a dope fight though, so if this is nepotism, more of this please, because she's a nut job. She does get her ass kicked after a while though, but it wasn't necessarily a fight that she wanted to physically win, it was a fight to clear her head. Peacemaker, on the other hand, he is a fight that he needs to physically win against his other self as we get some piece-on-piece action. This was an incredible fight, even better than the bar fight, as we got another great helmet with the magic stars that was so cool, and it culminates with our Peacemaker killing the other, and I did not see that coming. I thought we were gonna be around the multiples for a while, but now he's going to be living a dual life, so that's going to be very cool. Then one last thing, in the preview for next week's episode and the rest of the season, Rick Flag mentions going to see a prisoner at Bell Rev, and I don't know this for sure again, but I'm still going to say it as a fact, that's Lex. Peacemaker's got this quantum closet similar to the pocket dimension from Superman, and so Flag will certainly go to Luthor for answers. But overall, I thought that was a strong start for Peacemaker Season 2. It's very similar to how I felt after the Season 1 premiere, where I'm hooked on the show, but it feels like, there's a million different paths for said show to go in, and that's the exciting part. I will say, however, I do think it's most likely, I won't say for sure, but I feel like it's the most likely outcome that it's going to build to Flag trying to take this perfect world from Peacemaker as revenge for killing his son, only for Peacemaker to take it from himself because he realizes that he just needs to fix his world. Something like that, something along those lines where Flag's coming for him, but Peacemaker still comes out on top. And so that's going to do it for my breakdown of episode 1 from Peacemaker Season 2. If there's anything that you caught in this episode that I didn't mention in my breakdown, please let me know down in the comments below. Drop your thoughts on the premiere too while you're at it, and make sure you have a great day.